Sunday School teacher, I'm glad that you've joined us for our time of study and preparation. We're going to be jumping into the book of Romans at the lesson for Sunday, May the 3rd. So go ahead and get your Bible, your outline, your pen. Let's jump into this title of this lesson for Sunday, May 3rd is mercy. The point of the lesson is this, that the gospel continues to be offered to people, all people, Jew and Gentile. Again, Romans 11, verses 11 through 17 is where we're going to be. In this week's study, Paul addressed an important issue regarding the gospel and the Jewish people. And that issue is important today as well. Paul used the analogy of pruning and grafting the limbs of an olive tree to teach that God continues to offer the gospel to all people, again, both Jew and Gentile. Paul uses the analogy of an olive tree being pruned of its bad limbs so that the branches from the wild olive tree might be grafted onto its trunk. Basically, Paul is saying that in these passages, Jewish Christians should not see themselves as superior, and Gentile Christians should not look down on their Jewish brothers and sisters. So let's jump into these, beginning in verse 17 through 21. And there we see that we are to be humble. He says in verse 17, "Now if some of the branches were broken off, and you, though a wild olive branch, were grafted in among them, and have come to share in the rich root of the cultivated olive tree, do not boast that you are better than those branches. But if you do boast, you do not sustain the root, but the root sustains you. Then you will say, branches are broken off so that I might be grafted in. True enough, they were broken off because of their unbelief, but you stand by faith. Do not be arrogant, but beware. Because if God did not spare the natural branches, He will not spare you either." Again, we can't take analogies too far, because if we do, we get way off into the weeds and we miss the message. So don't try to read too much into it, and don't let your group read too much into it, because you can get into the weeds. In verse 17, he talks about the trunk of the olive tree represented the true covenant people of God, God's family of faith, Christians. Some of the Jews had rejected the true way and substituted